Professor of Environmental Sociology at the Autonomous University of Barcelona, Professor Louis Lemkow. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
There are rulings by the European Court of Human Rights, ECHR, and decisions by the Council of Europe concerning the right to hope in relation to Abdullah Öcalan. Yet these rulings have not been implemented by Turkey. Why has the UN not taken any action on this issue, and why has not even a formal call has been made to Turkey as well? So we can start with this question to the our peace process section in our interview.
Yes, it's unacceptable that Turkey does not act on these questions. It's clearly stated what should be done. Unfortunately, again, the UN is a very slow body to work, and also the UN, of course, is very. It has to submit to all kinds of lobbies and pressures, and unfortunately, the pressures have not been exerted sufficiently on Turkey to take the action that they should take. So it's not just the Turkish government. I mean, I think, of course, they're in the wrong, but also the fact that the UN has not acted, and when it acts, it's very slow, and we've seen this in recent times. It's very susceptible to all kinds of lobbies, and I'm afraid the lobbies are not well. The lobbies which would favour human rights have not been sufficiently strong.
Thank you so much, Professor. Another issue is about also the peace process in Turkey. So you have been as a guest to an important conference in Istanbul discussing the democratic solutions to the Kurdish question and the democratization of Turkey. So what can you tell us about your experience from there? How important was that conference? And do you think this kind of works is also led to for the people? It's an opportunity for the people to at least understand Öcalan's ideas and the pathway for the solution. So, how would you like to talk about the conference lately?
Yes, I thought it was an excellent initiative, an excellent conference, very relevant. It's always important to talk about peace processes. None of them are simple. They're always complex. And I thought that the various speakers who were able to speak from the floor did a very good job in explaining the difficulties. And we heard about the experiences of South Africa, of Catalonia, of the Basque Country, of Ireland. And I think they're all different. You can never apply any one to the situation of the peace process in relation to what's happening in Turkey. But nevertheless, they're useful inputs. And I think that was extremely positive. I found it a very interesting conference, and above all, very relevant. And I think it's good to look at other experiences, which is precisely what the conference organizers wanted to do. They wanted to hear about how peace processes had been initiated and the dynamics of such processes elsewhere, understanding that every country is different and every situation is different. You can't rigidly apply any rules, but I think learning about other experiences is extremely useful, and I think it was understood in that way by the audience and by the organizers. So I would regard it as a very successful experience.
Thank you so much. So at the back of the date, 27th February 2025, Kurdish leader Mr. Öcalan has made a call, which is democracy and a peace call in Turkey. And following that, the PKK laid down the arms. And so the step by step, the Kurdish side showing the intention and the need for the peace and the peace process as well. But we can't really see the Turkey taking any positive steps forward, concrete steps forward. So how do you interpret this development, first of all, and what is your view of Abdullah Öcalan's role in this peace process?
I think, of course, the initiative by Öcalan is very important, very significant. And these are difficult decisions to make. So it takes a lot of courage when obviously there's been an armed struggle from the Kurdish side to lay down arms. It's not an easy decision to make. And undoubtedly, there would have been some people who would have opposed that. So I think, to begin with, it's a very courageous thing to do. And I think it's the right thing to do. It's a way to go forward. We do have other experience of that, both in Ireland and in the Basque Country. And I think these have led to important changes and given a chance for peace. So I would, first of all, applaud the courage of Öcalan to go for laying down of arms. I think it was a really, really important initiative. That, I think, is a major starting point. Next of all, of course, one would expect and hope that the Turkish government would give some indication that they're doing something. One wants indicators of action from the Turkish side. This hasn't happened, and I think the first thing they could do, and again it requires courage, I'm not denying this, is the release of political prisoners, the release of prisoners, starting with Öcalan. So I think this must be done. There have to be indicators, indications that Turkey is doing something. There are other indicators as well, I think, at a parliamentary level, and that's something we come back to. I think the role of the parliament, the role of Dem Party could be important in the respect, and to try and negotiate also getting the parties, Republican and also other non-secular parties, to begin to do something. But I think that's another issue. But the parliamentary environment is important in this kind of context.
Thank you, Professor. Also, do you think any successful peace process in Turkey between Turks and Kurds will also reflect in a positive way to the whole region, whole Middle East? Because, as you know, the Israel-Palestinian issue still continues, and there is lots of developments in Iran lately, as well as you follow. So in four different parts of the Kurdistan, as well as including the Turkish Anatolia as well. Do you think in the whole region this positive reflection will come from the peace process? How do you evaluate this very shortly, that one?
Yes, I think any process of peace within the region is important, and it provides hope and guidelines for others. We know that all the cases we're talking about are highly complex, but nevertheless, it does provide hope, and it also shows, and we know that peace processes can take place. Very often, there's a kind of notion of structural pessimism, that nothing can be done, it's impossible, this is not true, and we've seen it in various parts of the world. And of course, even better, if we have a conflict-ridden region, that if the peace process advances between Turkey and the Kurds, this would be, I think, a great input and would have a major impact on the region. I'm pessimistic about the situation in Palestine, Israel. The genocide that has taken place and continues in Gaza shows no sign of abating despite a ceasefire. The position of the Israeli government remains totally hardline, with bombings continue, and then in Cisjordania, we're seeing again the activity of the Israeli government plus the colonial Israeli colonist settlements, which are illegal, by the way, in international law. The attacks on the local Palestinian population continue unabated. I'm not optimistic about that situation, but as I say, any advance in the region is important and will have an impact on other processes.
Thank you so much, Professor. Lastly, is there anything I didn't ask, anything you would like to add on in the frame of our interview?
Yeah, I think we're talking about very complex issues. It's very easy to use the word complex. You don't explain what the complexity is about. But I think, this initiative has been important, and as I say, courageous, laying down arms. But I also think the political tradition of Öcalan and others in the region, particularly the Kurdish side, the importance of gender equality. When I was at the conference, it was excellent to see that the organizers, the political leadership of the Dem Party and of the Kurdish activism, gender equality was central, and I think this is vital to any process of peace. We have to count on also oppressed majorities, which are women, and I think this is an example to the world, and particularly in a region where gender equality is very poor. I think the case of Kurdistan is really important and gives a signal, again, that equality is central and it can be achieved. I'm not saying it's been achieved totally, of course not. It's not been achieved in my country or anywhere. But these are, I think, important elements, and I think it's a really exciting part of your political culture.
Professor Lemkow, lastly, very shortly, please, if you would like to give any message to Öcalan as well, he might be able to watch this recording in the future, so please have your last words.
Well, Öcalan, of course, I've mentioned it already, but I applaud your courage, having put up with so many years in jail, in solitary, and to come out with this initiative of laying down the arms. I think it does show vision, and it shows courage, and also your position on equality and inequalities, I think, is very important. It goes hand in hand with peace process, and I think that has been very important, and it's very encouraging to see that that is an integral part of what you do and what you have to say. So I thank you for that, and of course it would be extraordinarily wonderful to be able to meet at some stage, but the important thing is that you should be released from jail and to be able to participate directly in any negotiations.
Thank you so much, Professor of Environmental Sociology at the Autonomous University of Barcelona, Professor Louis Lemkow. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for your valuable comments.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and it's always a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you so much.